Start the Egyptian Heaven and Hell by E. A. Wallis Budge. Book 2, the short form of the book Yimdawat and the Book of the Gates. And this is Nut here. I'm sure someone has pirated this in PDF, but I'm using this for spiritual purposes, so okay, let's try to go over all the short forms. This volume is the second in the series of 3 volumes which treat the Egyptian heaven and hell. It contains the complete hieroglyphs of the summary or short form of the Book of Dawat and the hieroglyphic text of the Book of Gates with the translation and reproductions of all the illustrations, the series of chapters dealing with the origin and contents of the books of the other world, which with prefatory remarks and a full index to the whole work will be found in the 3rd volume. Okay? And there are some errors on page 10. Instead of thun, dint, ba'eu, read tempt, ba'eu. And for nebet, mu, dawateu, read mechet, mu, nebet, dawateu. And so for the second was from page 20. From page 18 for signature, read aha signature. Page 23 for how do you pronounce that ball with on a cone with a little thing? Instead it's like an onx with a line on top of it. And for Nuper, read per from page 34, and the other one was 23. And page 57, the magical powers, read her magical powers to those. Page 113, read Su. Instead of Su, read, how do you pronounce that thing with the 3 lines and the 1 line going across it? Uwe. And for the hand full of with a pile on it and the thing majigger, it's the hand with the crook and that thing. Page 119, we have pe, read nebet jafau. And page 147, we read for read ga instead of the thing. Okay, now for the short form. The summary of the Book of the Underworld of what is called of what is in the underworld, the beginning of the horn of Yementet, which is the uttermost point of the deepest darkness, the first hour. The entity entereth into the earth through the hall of the horizon of Yementet. There are 120 Yitru. Remember Atu. Those who know something about the tarot, the Atu is gate in Sumerian. So just like dot is gate. Anyways, or tra. To journey over in this hall before a man arriveth at the entities of the Duat. The name of this first field of the Duat is Nut-Ra. He allotteth fields to the entities who are in his following, and he beginneth to send forth words, and to work out the plans and the divine beings of the Duat in respect to this field. Whosoever shall have made all these, according to the similitude which is in of the Duat, whosoever shall have knowledge of these similitudes are the copies of this great entity themselves, and they shall act as magical protectors for him upon the earth regularly and fairly, and they shall act as magical protectors for him in the great Duat. Ashmet Hatu Ra is the name of the first hour of the night, which guideth this great entity through this hall. And te is like the turkey vulture. And so we had the first hour, and Asham. Okay, this is going quickly. So the second hour, this great entity. Oh, remember, like those names of God, the 319 full list, the 1,000 name and one names in some languages. These are things that are supposed to bring out qualities in ourselves. So this journey is not just about some great entity, and we become ourselves in a line in certain ways. The great entity afterwards taketh up his position in your nest, which is 309 yitru in length, 120 yitru in width. The name of the great entities who are in this field are Ba'u Dwate. Whosoever knoweth their name shall have existence with them, and unto him shall this great entity allot fields in the place wherein they are in the field of Urnus. Is it Urnus? I went over this in the first run, but anyways, he shall stand up with the entities who stand up. Ahau. And he shall travel on in the following of this great entity. He shall enter into the earth. He shall force a way through the Dawat. He shall cleave a passage through the tresses of entities with flowing hair. Hunksu. He shall travel on by the eater of the ass, by the eater of the donkey. Oh, the thingamajig is that. After the emptying of the lands, he shall eat bread cakes in the boat of the earth, and there shall be given unto him in the forepart of Tetubba. Whosoever shall have made in writing or in drawing similitudes of the Ba'eu Dwate, the souls of the Dawat, in the forms in which they are the Yemen of the Dawat. Now the beginning of such representations should be in the form of the Yementet, and whosoever shall make offerings unto them upon the earth, and their names shall act as magical protectors unto that person upon the earth regularly and unfailingly. Now, if you practice and you study, whether you've memorized or not, what you practice and you study becomes like a witness for or against you. Whether, oh, this guy's a hypocrite, or whatever the deal is. That person upon earth regularly and unfailingly. And whosoever shall know the words of the entities of the Dawat, speak to this entity, and the words which are said to him by them when he is approaching the entities of the Dawat, shall act as magical protectors to him, and knoweth them upon the earth regularly and unfailingly. Shesat Makat. Shesat Makat Nabas is the name of the hour and the night which guideth this great entity through this field. And the second entity hour we are seeing Nabatner Sadwa, okay. And from the Laden Papyrus, the Tomb of Seti and the Laden Papyrus. Oh. Okay, hold on. Chinasha Sa'at. Makat Nabus. Okay, that part is the name of the hour of the night. And we're looking at something with Ra in it. Anyways, you might want to go back and look at how I went over in the part in book 1. So So the third hour, this great entity afterwards taketh up his position in the fields of the Peru gods, the so-called gods that are fighters. And the great entity paddleth its way over the stream of Yesir. Nut Yesir is what they're calling Osiris here. In the sailing up this field, which is 309 Yitru long, 120 Yitru wide. 120 Yitru wide. This great entity uttereth words unto those who are in the following of Yesir to the city, and he allotteth unto them estates which are situated in this field. Ba-e-u, Shata-e-u, the hidden souls, is the name of the entities who are in this field, and whosoever knoweth their names upon the earth shall be able to approach the place where Yesir is, and there shall be given unto him water for his field. Nut nub ua spur Uatu is the name of this field. Whosoever shall know these hidden similitudes of the hidden souls of the correct forms wherein they are depicted in the Yimit of the Duat. Now the beginning of such representation should be from Yimintet. These figures shall act as magical protectors to the man upon earth and the nature cart regularly and unfailingly. And again, things are through use. Don't worship a bunch of objects or words or something. Use them. Whosoever knoweth these, when he is making his journey past them, shall escape from their roarings, and shall not fall down into their furnaces. Whosoever knoweth this, when he is keeping ward over his seat, or his bread cake shall be with raw, and whosoever knoweth this, being soul and spirit, shall have mastery over his legs, and shall never enter into the place of destruction, but he shall come forth with his attributes, and shall snuff the air for his hour. Thunded ba-e-u is the name of this hour of the night, which guideth the great entity through this field. And Seti the First and the Laden Papyrus is where we have this. But Thunded ba-u. Okay. Oh, it's okay. It's not the. It's tund. Nunt. Ba. Ah. Ah. Ooh. Oh, you. Tund. Nut. Ba. You. And on to the fourth hour, we have the majesty of this, 4 out of 12. And it's not just representing the sunset to sunrise, but we're coming upon the longest night of the year, so this is good. We're getting this out of the way first. The majesty of this great entity, having been towed along, afterwards taketh up his position in the secret circle of Yumentet, and he performeth the affairs of the entities of the Duat, who are therein by means of his voice, but he seeth them not. Anxpru is the name of the gate of the circle. Yimut Sathau is the name of the circle. Whosoever knoweth the representation of the hidden roads of the Re Statet and the holy places of the Yim Mahat and the secret door, remember the Mahat, that serpent that covers, forming sort of a bubble for the guy on this ship. And the secret doors which are in the land of Skra. The entity who is upon the sand shall be in the condition of him that eateth the bread cakes, or made in the mouth of the living entities in the temple of Tum. Whosoever knoweth this shall be in the condition of him that is in the Ma'at on the ways, and he shall journey over the roads of Ra Sathau, and he shall see the representations of the Yim Mahat Rupm Saksmu Set is the name of this hour of the night which guideth this great entity. So we have Wurtamas Saksam U Set. Oh, just a not set. And so from the tomb of Seti I, and the Laden Papyrus is where he's getting his source this time around. And I guess that's what's happening every time, right? The fifth hour. This great entity is towed along over the ways of Ma'at, of the Duat, through the upper half of this great circle of the entity Skre? Seker? I'm thinking it's Skre. Because I think I said Skre the last time. Yeah, Skre. Leaving out that little thing goes who was upon his head, upon his sand, and he neither looketh upon nor gazeth at the secret figure of the earth, which containeth the flesh of this thing considered a god. The gods, so-called, who are in this so-called god, hear the words of Ra, who crieth unto them from where this entity is. Aha, not true, is the name of the store of the city. Yemut is the name of the circle of this entity, and in it are the secret path of Yementet, and the doors of the hidden place, and the holy place of the land of Skre, flesh, and his members, and his body in the divine form which they had at first. Well, the divinely sanctioned formed, and then we corrupt. We're in the best of standing, and then we're abased to the lowest of the low, except those who believe and do good deeds. Believe the right things. So, Ba'u Yemud Dawat is the name of the entities which are in this circle, their forms, Yuru, who run this hour, and upon their secret shapes, Kthpru, I come into being. I bring the light as Lucifer, but Kthpru, well, different language, right? Neither know, nor look upon, nor see the image of Skre, or the hawk himself. Whosoever shall make these representations according to the image which is in the writing of the hidden places of the Duat and the south of the hidden palace, whosoever shall know them shall be at peace, and his soul shall unite itself into the offerings of Skre, and the entity Xmeet shall not hack his body into pieces. Oh, the demoness shall not hack his body into pieces, and he shall go his way towards her in peace. Whosoever shall make these offerings to these entities upon the earth, I say, shall act as magical protectors to that man upon earth, and that shall exert regularly and unfailingly. And the power of whatever you worship, you're connected to, good or bad, or the weakness that it grants, or the strength that it grants, is through your actions, and unfailingly. Her Yib Uyah is the name of the hour of the night, this hour of the night, the fifth hour, which guideth this great entity through this field. And that ends with a sa. It ends with a uyita. Oh, her Yub and ta e. Okay, we have Smeet, her Yub, Uyata is the name of the hour, the fifth hour of the night. Okay. Spartan, you have me here to correct it, correct the pronunciation here. We are at the sixth hour. The majesty of this great entity taketh up his position in the streams of Nibut Mu Dwateu, the Lord, the God of the waters of the so-called gods of the Duat, and he sendeth forth, the waters of this. There's the waters of the sun idea that the ancient Egyptians have, and this is like their hell. The waters of the sun are not waters, or fire beyond anything we can put together here, right? Except a nuclear explosion, and that's gone like that, but the sun's continuous. And he sendeth forth his words to the entities who are therein, and he commandeth that they have mastery over their spiritual offerings in the city, and he maketh his way through this field, being provided with his boat, and he setteth apart by his words the estates which are their offerings in the city, and he giveth to them water for their lakes, and he travelleth through the Duat every day. Spud Matu is the name of the door of the city. Everywhere you have the door. And, it's like the initiations. Each one of these 12, when you do it right, it's an initiation. And that's why it may help to follow along and just lay back and think and, allow yourself to experience it. The secret roads of Yumentet and the matter whereon this great entity is being rowed along over the water, therein in its boat to perform the plans of the entities of the Duat, the gathering together by their names and the manifestation of their shapes and their secret hours, such are the things of which the secret representation of the Duat is not known to man and women. Whosoever shall make of this image in writing according to the representation of the same which is in the hidden things of the Duat at the south of the hidden palace, and whosoever shall know them shall be in the condition of one awarded offerings in abundance in the Duat, and he shall be united to the offerings of the entities who are in the following of Yasir, Osiris, and his parents or kinsfolk shall make offerings which are obligatory on the earth. The majesty of this great entity sendeth forth words, and he giveth spiritual offerings to those of the Duat, and he standeth up by them, and they see him, and they have dominion over their fields, and over the gifts made to them, and they offer their transformations by reason of the words which this great entity hath spoken unto them. Batchit Nub Duateu is the name of the field which the road of the boat of Ra. Masprit Ur Ma'at is the name of the hour of the night which guideth this great entity through this country. Now, we can symbolically represent a lot of stuff cosmologically, but creations and demiurge, whether they are demiurges or even if they're not really creations, they're egregores, things we came up with our mind, thought forms that we have worked on, formed a collective fantasy about. The creations, we can connect to them, but they may not hear us, these beings. But we have Musperit, Yura, Tma, Mau. Ooh. Okay, I guess that's the name of the hour. And we go on to the 7th hour. Yurta Ma. The Ma. Okay. The Ma. Musperit. Yurta Ma is the name of the hour. I'm not seeing the T. So the 7th hour, the majesty of this great entity taketh its position in the secret place of Yasir. We're replacing the false gods as we go along and becoming ourselves in some of these positions, or at least, the deputy or the delegative authority, not the legislative authority, right? The majesty of this great entity taketh up his position in the secret palace of Yasir and the Osiris, and the majesty of this great entity sendeth forth words unto in this to the entities who dwell therein. This entity maketh himself other forms of this hidden place in order to drive out of his path the serpent fiend Apep by means of the words of the power of Ust, Isis, and the words of the power of Sumshu. Urte Yusur is the name of the gate of this city, through which this entity passeth. Teput Shta is the name of this city. This great entity maketh his way over the road of Yimpt, which is in the holy boat, and he passeth in it over this road which is without water, without being towed along. He maketh his way by means of the words of the power of Isis, and by the means of the power of Simshu, and the utterances of this great entity himself act as magical protectors, are thought of that way anyways, and perform the slaughters of Apep in the Duat, in this circle, in his windings in the sky. Not everything is about sacrifice. It's about the continual remembrance, right? Whosoever shall make a copy of these, according to the similitudes which are in the writing at the northern side of the hidden palace in the Duat, they shall act as magical protectors for him that maketh them in heaven and in